So, Tolly, what bubble are we popping today?
I don't know, Carla. Let's find out. Happy Sunday, everyone.
Hey, how's everybody doing today?
Oh, it has been a long week. Actually, guys, by the time this comes up, I'll be on a boat in Florida. So,
And I will most definitely be in my bed in New Bedford, Massachusetts.
but how are you doing, Carla?
I'm good. I'm really excited for break to see my family. It's been like 2 months since I've seen them, so this is gonna be good for me to go home. How are you doing?
I'm tired. I need a nap. Oh, y'all, we are back on our regular schedule. As much as I love doing Black History Month, I'm exhausted. So,
I don't think you guys y'all understand how difficult it was to put out a new episode every single week. Like, and this is gonna be our 5th consecutive week doing it too.
yeah. So if you haven't listened to those past 4 ones, what are you doing? Because we really worked hard on them. So you have no other choice but to listen at this point. Like, you might as well just listen because we really worked hard on them.
No, and they're actually really good too, though.
Yeah, we had Shira as our guest for the last one, and it was really nice. But yeah, guys,
So for today's episode,
I'm excited.
Me too. We have yet another special guest.
We told y'all we was coming with the guests. We coming reckless all 2021.
But this is yet another person who we've wanted to get on this podcast for a while. Somebody who both Tali and I look up to very much, as a person, as a
Just a mentor, a
everything.
teacher, an advisor. I mean, the list goes on and on.
So, should we just get into it?
Well, yeah, as y'all know, it's March. It's Women's History Month. Happy Women's History Month to all my beautiful women out there. And our guest today is not only a wonderful woman, but we think that there's value in her experience, and we wanted to take the time to bring her here to talk about that and to basically talk about her experience, talk about her impact, because she has truly made an impact. I can honestly say she has truly made an impact in me and Carla's life. So
I can second that. So, without further ado, here is Dr. Kim Bullock.
woo!
Hi, Dr. B.
Hello, everybody, and these two lovely queens here that are hosting me today. Y'all are awesome. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the introduction as well.
We're so excited. Dr. B, tell the people about you.
About me. Okay, how much time you got? No, seriously.
We got all the time in the world, Dr. B.
This is fun. This is one subject I know all the answers to. So, so I am Kim Bullock, maiden name Williams, born and raised Washington, D.C. Shout out to Chocolate City, which is how when I arrived to town, that's what I post on Facebook is "What's up, CC," which is a line from a song from an artist too old for you guys to know. But anyway, born and raised, attended D.C. public schools, went to Hampton Institute at the time, which is now called Hampton University, a historically Black college. I majored in biology there. Went on from Hampton University to the University of Florida to go Gators, to veterinary school. From veterinary school, I moved back to Washington, D.C., and practiced veterinary medicine, emergency veterinary medicine at an emergency clinic, and then small animal, dogs and pets veterinary clinic. And then from there, I moved to Virginia, still working veterinary medicine, but also began teaching college biology, teaching biology in college, actually at my alma mater, Hampton University, for about 4 or 5 years. And then with my husband and children, we moved to Exeter, New Hampshire. Kind of random, right? But my husband, Philip, he finished Phillips Exeter Academy. That's where he went to boarding school, and he always wanted to return to be a teacher, coach, and so we followed him there, and a position became available for both of us, him in history, me in biology. And so we taught at Phillips Exeter Academy for a year, which was an eye-opening experience for me. I had known about the boarding school community by attending um, reunions with him, class reunions, but never had I had the full experience of what boarding school is, living and working in the same place. And from there, that was a one-year appointment. From there, we moved to Newport, Rhode Island. We're hired at St. George's School, and the rest is history. That was This is my 26th year at
Wow.
St. George's School. I know, watch out. If you like your job, it might happen to you too. And I do like my job, so so that's the end. I can go now, right? No, just kidding. But
No, we appreciate having you here, Dr. B.
Dr. B, we're not finished with you yet. But yeah.
So we just want to talk about your experiences because obviously there's a lot of value, and I feel like Tali and I have a lot to learn from you as women, as young women of color, and as we head on into the world and navigate life. And so I first of all, I just want to talk to you about your experiences with education. What were those environments like for you when you went to school, and were any of them different? What did you experience? What was that like?
yeah, I think, well, if I think early on, in Washington, D.C., starting young, Washington, D.C., of course, is a majority Black community. And so my experience in public schools undergrad were with majority folks of color in the school system. And then my next move was to Hampton University, another historically Black community. And so that all of those were incredibly welcoming, and I felt as if I belonged. I had teachers and folks that were guiding me, that cared about me, that loved me, that were mentors to me. They modeled for me, how to be a leader. And then I went to University of Florida Veterinary School. That was a brand new kind of experience for me. I was one of a few. In fact, I was the second uh, Black female to graduate from University of Florida College of Veterinary Medicine. Um, and so it was um, it was the experience of being one of a few, which I wasn't used to. So that took a lot of struggle. But and so I called on my family, and of course, the few of us that were there together, kind of held each other up and kept ourselves moving forward. But I think that that is the best part of that experience for me. Not only did I experience, and therefore I can empathize with others that have gone through that, but I also, I proved to myself that I could do it. I gained agency in that, and didn't run away from those kind of challenges anymore. And probably most influential to me in that time, which was a huge struggle for me, was a mentor, African American. There was one Black veterinarian on staff there. In fact, he recruited me there. His name is Dr. Payton. I want to name him Dr. Llewellyn Payton, because he did that leadership and support for me and the other few folks of color that were there. And he's basically did the same thing that I tried to emulate in my lifestyle here at St. George's and in my work here at St. George's. I recognize that now, reflecting back. But then after that, somehow I found my way back to education as a teacher at the college level. And that was very rewarding to me. Even though I was a veterinarian, I was practicing veterinary medicine as well as teaching. There was something about the teaching aspect that just spoke to me. And so I actually merged the two at one point and began teaching veterinary technicians for a short time period. And then other educational opportunities became available, and I started leaning more in that direction than in the veterinary field. The veterinary field was, I loved it, but it was, to be quite honest, it was male dominated. It was
Yes.
it was very clear and obvious to me that I wasn't being as paid, what other folks in my same level of experience were getting paid. And when I weighed out the joy from it versus that struggle, education kind of won out for me. So, um, but yeah, it's kind of like the giving uh, nature, I think, that I have and many people have, that I think drew me to education and that keeps me there.
I really love what you said about mentors, um, because I feel like coming here to St. George's, I experienced a major culture shock, as anyone would, in my shoes. And so I lean towards Shira, who we had last week, as our guest, but and other students like Kasamba, just the older girls who had already been here, and had already sort of experienced that, and so they could guide me through that, and so now I find myself trying to be that same thing for other students, because I know how important that is, because I had those mentors who helped me go on and get through that, and so yeah, I just love it that you mentioned that.
Yeah,
That's so important.
yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, we always say this, but I truly don't think we would have been, or I would have been in the position I am now without Shira, Ava, Kasamba, just all the people that were there willing to like come to me, so they knew that I had someone at this school, and it's really important that we have that.
Yeah, I think that's important. Like, you always have to acknowledge the shoulders that you stand on, and realize it was probably a little bit harder for them, you know, but not, and they are, there. um, the way that they identify with you is that they had had that same struggle, and so they want to, kind of help you a little bit. There's always some good that comes out of the struggle, but there's nothing wrong with having a little guidance, and knowing that you always have somebody there. And you guys are a legacy of that. At any, at St. George's, this, you could talk to alums from back till since the first students were here, and they would be able to identify similar folks that did the same thing for them. And that is the continuity that we want to always have. That's really important.
Yeah, it is. Well, me and Carla on this podcast, we love to talk about intersectionality.
Yes.
One of our favorite words. So,
Mhm.
our next question is, in your field and throughout your experience and throughout your careers, did you ever find that being a Black woman in these spaces made it more difficult for you to succeed? And how did that look like?
Yeah, I have such deep thoughts about this, and it has changed too, you know. But I guess you get the today me, so I'll answer where I am today, and that is, um, I think that I expect and anticipate struggle. So I don't always see that as a negative. And what I do is, or what's important to me, I should say, in the face of that struggle, is that I have the confidence, or I have the resources, or I have the agency to use my resources to push forward. In all of the struggles, and this is knock on wood, I'm blessed and privileged, to be able to say this. There's always been somebody I could go to, or I could just reach another level deeper, and to know that you can do that and trust yourself that you can do that is important. But like I said, like we just got finished saying, to have folks around you, or even not here, but folks in other states, that have gone through similar, that can guide you through, or that can give you, even if it's just a listening ear and not necessarily tell you what to do, but just listen to you and validate you. And another thing, maybe a little deeper, is that I think that in primarily white institutions or in places where a person is in a minority, women of color, for lack of a better way of saying this, are a little bit more accepted, I believe, and palatable and flexible and in a white environment than black males. And I'm not saying that is an issue with black males. I'm saying it's an issue with majority white spaces. I believe that it can be less of a hurdle. And at least that's been my experience as I reflected, but I didn't realize it when I was going through it. But I believe that there are lots of other hurdles that men and boys have to navigate in white spaces. And I also believe that girls and women serve as resources for each other easier and more readily, which is what we have just said like a zillion times already is important and what gets us through. I think that men and boys, though, are learning that and being much more open to that. At least I know when I look at my sons, just being okay to show emotion and to actually genuinely say honestly how you feel to someone or even to another male, And so, and I like to believe that women have helped with that process, So, yes, we do have our struggles. And I think that to be able to rely upon each other, but also to be able to, support others that are struggling in different ways, is part of all of our success. So I know that was a very complicated answer, but
no, I definitely agree, especially anticipating the struggle. Like I feel like we talked about this earlier in the podcast, but we're always anticipating something to happen or anticipating something to go left instead of right. And it's not always like a bad thing, but it's definitely something we do a lot.
I think it helps us be prepared for something, but then we also have to question why is it that we're always trying to prepare ourselves for these terrible situations.
Yeah. Well, it's in a way, we don't have the privilege to not think that way.
Yes, snaps to that.
Mm-hmm.
We don't. It's survival. It's part of what we have to navigate, and so there's no choice.
Right. So you talked about what it's like being in predominantly white spaces, and here at St. George's, we are at a predominantly white school. And so, navigating that is always difficult. But I wanted to ask you because Tali and I were talking, and we noticed that you, I think, are the only black woman on the faculty at St. George's currently, and you're also like the head of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so I'm not sure how long this has been the case for, but how do you feel about that? Do you feel as though there are some advantages and disadvantages that come with that, and how much weight is that for you to carry? Because I can't imagine.
I couldn't handle it.
I couldn't imagine being the only black woman on the faculty. Like
So what I'll tell you, there are pluses and minuses, and I think key to this, and trust me that I weigh this out every year that I have to sign a new contract here. I weigh out my happiness and my what's good for me and versus, whatever else there is. But the the people at this school, my colleagues, the allies that surround and that make up this school, without question, um, create an environment and an atmosphere where that I want to be in. Plain and simple as that. I literally um, like my job a lot, and I like and I like the people that I work with, and I like the collaboration and the growth and how we move and grow and challenge each other together. And so that, first and foremost, I literally just had this conversation on the telephone, on another call before this. Feeling included, feeling that you belong, feeling that you have an impact, feeling that you have some agency, and feeling that you matter, in a space. Of course, it's different for everybody, but those things are really important to me. And those things happen for me here, and they have obviously, for a long time. Um, and I know different environments. I have been in both, and as long as I feel that way, then this is where I want to be. And there are some weird times, but all of a sudden, I'm telling you, this weirdness just happens, and you go like, wait a minute, am I the only person of color in this room?
Yeah.
You just go
I've
like,
been there.
wait, I think I'm the only person of color in this room. But I'm so locked focused on whatever it is going on many times, which is just the nerdiness of me of being so engaged in what I do. But there are times, and I will say that there is, I have to, when I go home and I say, what's up, CC in DC, people know, oh, Kim's home, time to connect, let's connect. So I do have to dip myself in some chocolate periodically, which is what I used to tell my children. I need my culture, I need my people, I love us, and so I have to have access. I have to go and recalibrate, and reaffirm myself. I don't get affirmed here as a Black woman. I'm respected as an educator and and as a professional. But this it doesn't serve to, it can't affirm me in my culture. And so luckily I have opportunities to do that, and that also is what I weigh out on a yearly basis. And I think that you could also manage that. I Without question, I'm sure that the foundation that I have from elementary school, junior high school, and college, and the confidence I have around who I am, and to have family and friends to affirm you in that, is helpful. It's required in order for you to stand firm with 2 feet in an all white environment, because it's or majority white, I should say, at least for me, I should speak to say.
No, yeah, definitely agree. I don't know. When me and Carla were talking about it, I was like, Dr. Bullock is the only Black woman faculty on campus. Like, I just feel like, and it's surprising because, not to compare anything, but we have a lot of Black male teachers.
We do. We
and
have
like
a significant amount.
Lot of Black male faculty. So when I was looking at it, I was like, this kind of doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. But I mean, it does put you at an advantage, and I kind of agree with the disadvantage and advantages.
It has been a while. It hasn't always been. You have to remember the school's been around, longer than the
Right.
4 years you guys have been here. And there were, at one time there was there's an ebb and flow to the numbers and that kind of thing. But you have to think about, well, we always think about, and we're currently always thinking about what would make this environment attractive you have to think kind of that way. It's, like why is this? What would attract, um, you know, people to your school, and what would be attractive for family, of color to come to St. George's School, or to come to Middletown. There's the whole living experience, schools, churches. You have to think of the whole person, and that's not anybody's particular fault, that they may or may not align, but you have to keep looking. You have to keep sharing the values of the community and of the school, um, and I believe it's possible.
I agree with you. And I also think that it's a little tricky because for me, I would like to see more representation in my teachers, and just the people who I surround myself with, because like you said, I like the culture, I like the people, and it would be nice because I think of how my white peers will wake up every day, they'll go to class, and they won't think anything of it. They just are probably used to this environment where their teachers reflect them, physically. And for me, though, I wake up and then, like you said, I realize, I have that realization, like, dang, am I the only person of color in this room right now? And it's something that I've actually become conscious of every single time I get a new class or start off the school year. I literally count in my head, like, how many people of color are in this class. Am I the only one? Am I okay with that?
Or even advocating for yourself. Like last year, me coming to you, Dr. Bullock, and telling you, like, mentally, like, we have white guidance counselors, therapists, what do you call them?
Yeah.
Therapists?
Yeah.
Like, advocating for yourself mentally. Like, I had to come to you and be like, I just need somebody else, And it's just like, I don't know. I think it's very important that, especially in PWIs, when they're so focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion, it can't just be about the students, It also has to be about the faculty and the adults we interact with, because those people are important to our lives, and we need all the support we can get, especially at the time we're growing and we're understanding who we are and what's going on in the world. Like, we need those people in our corners.
Yeah, you couldn't be more right. And it takes work, and it's not easy. It's not an easy fix. It's not a quick fix, and it's a commitment. It's an honest commitment that when you make that commitment, you have to investigate, um, to solve that problem, or to meet that goal. And so there is work that needs to be done, and and your voices, and the value, it needs to, echo the value of that to you, as young people growing up in this community, and what it means to you. And I would also, say that, ex-husband and I used to always say that what was important to us also, being at both Phillips Exeter and here, was that we realized that we were the multicultural experience for white students, and we took that very seriously, that this is important for white children to have, adults of color, uh, as their teachers, to see, um, people that could mentor them, and that were professionals, that were, other than, what they were familiar with. That's an education in and of itself, and we took that very serious. And that is also what's missing when we don't have that, experience at St. George's. And it's something that all students should be important to all students.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think diversity on all sides, not just for us, is important, because as a teacher, part of your job is to educate and to, you've been at this school for 26 years. You literally, we used to go to your house and eat pizza and hang
During
out and listen to
pre-COVID.
music. Yeah,
We are
pre-COVID.
following COVID right now.
But it's a teacher's job, especially at a school like this where everybody's living here. It's a small community. We only have like 300 some students. And so for those teachers to be available to white students as well, I think is important, because hopefully it reflects the world that they will go into a lot better. And so yeah, I definitely agree. Diversity everywhere is very important for all people.
It is. I mean, even in the definition, the 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 definition of excellence. I mean, our education or your education or any education, not just St. George's, but education isn't complete or excellent if it excludes us, if it excludes. And if there is an opportunity to broaden the experience of the folks being educated, then that is a better education. It is it better prepares an individual. And this is not a new problem. It's not a unique problem. There's not a school day or boarding that isn't trying to move forward and make this happen at their institutions also. But I think that every one of those schools can do better. It's hard, consistent work. No different than, whatever it took to get me here, and for me to stay here. And other folks at other schools, it's just a committed, it's a commitment. And if it's important, then we can make it happen.
Yeah, thank you for that. So you know this, Dr. B, but people listening might not. Tali and I are two of the heads of Insight, which is the diversity club here on campus at SG. And so I wanted to just ask you about, because you've been here for 26 years. So you've seen the school go through, I bet, a lot of growth and changes in administrations and so on. And so I was wondering, what used to be Insight? Like, I'm not sure when exactly Insight was started, but it's probably relatively recent. I'm not sure. No? But I just wonder, what has it been like? Has there been continuity? Has there been change? I'm just wondering, for like, what was that like being at this school before and seeing that growth or things progress through the years?
So Insight was started. I actually have this written up. You guys should probably read it. A young man interviewed an alum that came back, which was one of the fellows that had founded the organization or club, and it was what you can imagine. It was a gathering of kids that wanted to bring camaraderie between the Black and brown folks at St. George's at the time, and they found fellowship, and it stuck. And probably more into the late 90s did the club, because it was before it was Insight, it was the Afro Latina, something like that group. I might have that not perfect, but I think it was an Afro Latina group was the name of it. But then in the late 90s, the student heads opened the club up and said, "This is for everyone. This is for everyone that wanted to celebrate this kind of unity." And so from then on, it's been pretty consistent. Pretty consistent. There have been definitely more members in the last 10 years. There were, it used to be like my house. I lived in Hafner then. My whole front yard was full of kids when we took a group picture. You have to see it, like the one we took over. One time we took over after the cookout. So, and that continuity, when there were that many members, it was just a different vibe that the kids had with each other, where they just all hung out together all the time, and that's going to ebb and flow. That changes with the kids that are here. But there's always been a committed a number of kids to this club. It has never not been in existence since I've been here, and it has always been a committed group of kids that were that supported each other, that supported school programming for education, and that kind of help kids navigate through St. George's. It's always been that. We should have a reunion of all Insight heads. That would be so much fun.
Oh, that would be so much
That
fun.
would be really fun.
I owe Insight. I don't know where I would be without Insight. I say this a lot, but honestly,
same.
like our little community without it, I wouldn't be where I am now, because I've been able to be myself every time I come into your house. Pre-COVID, y'all. Not breaking any COVID rules.
Good point.
Just want to state that for anybody listening. But every time we come into your room, I just the stress, the like, not the burden, but all that heavy bagging I'm holding on my shoulders kind of just floats away, and I'm just with people, laughing, learning, and
and just being yourself.
I mean, I remember the first time I went to, like, I remember going to your house for an Insight meeting, and it was freshman year, and Shira was like, yo, we got an Insight meeting, y'all coming? Like, we're like, yeah, we're going. We were trying to find our way to your house. We were like, which one is it? We didn't know which one it was.
I think we took like the longest route, and it was right behind Buell. Like,
it was right behind the dorm. But I walked in, and immediately it was like this atmosphere. Like, it felt homey, and I felt comfortable immediately. There was like music playing, there was pizza, people were just chilling, laughing, and it was like one of the first times that I felt comfortable at St. George's, because it was my freshman year, and I wasn't assimilating as well as I would hoped I would be, and that really felt good. And I think that for me is what cemented my role in wanting to be an Insight head and be that for other students and create that community within our larger community.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
That is so good to hear. I mean, that's the whole point. And you know what? This is what students don't realize. I usually end up telling alums when they come back, that as much as it brings to you, the faculty that are there, it brings to us as well. For us to be in the space and place where you are yourselves, it brings joy to our hearts just to be able to create that space, first of all, but also to be with you. That it's just as much as an opportunity for us to be ourselves as well, which you probably don't even pay close attention to. That probably a good thing, when you're a student, but you have to know that we learn and grow and gain, we just gain that I don't know, that family atmosphere by your presence as well. I mean, there's no question that is what has kept me here at St. George's School, is to know the weight and the value of having a person present that you and your parents actually can connect to and feel comfortable, and just feel like, oh, okay. Because I'm saying what people have said to me, like, you're not leaving, are you? Like, because we're going to stay for 4 more years with my child here.
I always tell you that. You better
my child's going to be, you can leave after 4 years, but my child is here.
1 more year. You can dip after that. We'll be okay. We'll be fine.
Yeah, and it hasn't been only me. That's the other thing I do want to make sure I say here, that, being the director of equity inclusion, a lot is centered around me. And yes, I have been the only Black female, which is, kind of the center person making things happen now, but it's not just me. There's so many other people, and we have to recognize that there were people before me, that did this, absolutely did it before me. And that's important always to kind of name out loud, as well as currently right now. There are people. Y'all are here. It's a good time. It's good. We have an amazing community. I'll just stop there because I can go on and on and on.
We definitely do. This is our last question, but Are there, because it is Women's History Month, are there any women in particular that inspire you or have taught you something valuable in your life?
I already know who she's gonna say.
You do?
Go and say it.
What am I going to say?
Who's she gonna say?
Think for a second and then say. Just
Who's she gonna say? How you know what she gonna say?
Well, I have, I don't know what colors talking about.
Who you
I
gonna
hope I
say?
get it right. But anyway, well, so my mind, unfortunately, immediately goes to professional and St. George's ish, and there, uh, before me, there was a woman of color that worked here as the director of technology. Black female was the head of our technology here. This is why we have laptops, by the way. She created the laptop program. Uh,
Oh,
Shout out
and
to her.
shout out to
yes,
her.
Deborah Saunders White, absolutely. Shout out, shout out. May she rest in peace. She passed away not too long ago, but she was here, and uh, and along with her, there were other administrators here at this school, and I'm speaking just of St. George's right now, that saw in me what I didn't see in myself. I didn't come to St. George. I came here as a biology teacher. I did not come here to be an administrator or a leader, or that was not, part of my plan. But these people saw stuff in me that I didn't see in me, and they opened opportunities and opened doors, and challenged me, and with that, said that I believe that you can do this kind of opportunity. And that was also Katie Titus, who used to work here. Um, and so when I think of my professional career, it was women that helped me move along, even if it wasn't a title or an elevation, they elevated my awareness that I could. And so shout out to all those women. You know, I can you can never not say your mom.
That's
Um,
that's who I was gonna say. That's who
oh
I thought
yeah,
you were gonna say.
of course, of course, of course. I mean, that's the ultimate, right? Yeah, my mother, is the rock and still is the rock of our entire my entire family. I have two siblings, an older brother and a younger sister. So for us as well, and each of us have three children. So that's our whole clan. And my mother is the glue, and she has the way we say it is that my mother worked retail. She worked Nordstrom's and Garfinkel's, a store that doesn't exist anymore, but her retail was her field. And so my father used to fly planes. He learned how to fly. So we would. My brother always says my mother taught us how to be fly, and my father taught us how to fly. So my mother is our designer in we have our own designer. We shop in her closet, and she makes sure that
I
that
shop in my mom's
always
closet.
all
Me
age.
too.
Yeah, yeah.
Me too.
But other than that, she's the glue that is she uplifts every single body, and she's funny, and she's really lighthearted. She'll make you laugh always. She's 89 years old. She still banks online. She's still she has Facebook, Instagram. I'm not even kidding you.
She doing her thing. She gotta
Yeah,
she
she
gotta keep
is.
up.
So she's without question who has guided me through so much. And actually, I'm actually here now with her in Washington, D.C., teaching remotely and spending the time with her.
Tell your mom we said hey.
I certainly will, especially on this special, special month.
You raised a wonderful woman.
Oh,
She
Let her
bless
know
your
did.
that.
heart. Bless
Let her
your
know that.
heart. And the same with your parents as well. They should be absolutely proud. But you guys are actually leading the way. You're models, and you don't even know how you're models
Oh, thank
already.
you.
You've already been you're pioneers. I mean, what school has ever had a podcast? And first thing I asked these young ladies was, how are you fitting this in with everything else that you have to do? I don't understand it, but they're doing it, and they're doing it gracefully, and somebody is watching. Like, somebody is watching, you guys. You got to know that. And they're going to be sitting and say, I remember there were these two girls and they had a podcast. So I said, shoot, I'm going to do fill in the blank, I guarantee you that's how this works. That's how this works. And so you do it with one foot in, I love this and I'm going to do this because this is what I want to do. And then your other foot and your other mind is like, I got to, lead these kids and show them the way. So thank you to you all. And it's not just kids either, adults as well, are seeing you push, the boundaries, and seeing you ask the questions, and seeing you advocate for yourself. Tolly, you advocated for yourself to me. I passed the word along.
Yeah.
So I just want
Very
to
grateful for
correct that. Yeah. That you're being watched. And so I appreciate you all. I really do appreciate you.
Thank you, Dr.
We
B.
appreciate you back, Dr. B.
We truly appreciate it.
I think that's all we have.
That's all we have. Again, Dr. B, this was really fun, and I got to learn more about you, as always. Always, our conversations are always the best, and we're really grateful that we got you on this podcast. And I hope this won't be your last time. You will definitely be back.
I'm sure I have some more stories.
Oh,
you'll be back.
You'll be back, Dr. B. We promise.
I really miss our insight meetings on the couch, though.
Me too.
Because I'm sure we would have gotten to these stories by now. And our sleepovers, right?
The sleepover.
Again, all before COVID. I feel like I just gotta say this.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. B.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
All right, y'all. Me and Carla are gonna switch it up. Y'all thought this podcast was over?
You thought it was over?
Y'all thought it was over?
Mm-mm, there's way too much going on in the world for us to be
There's
done.
way too much going on. Way too much.
But real quick, again, shout out to Dr. B. Thank you so much for coming. We love you so much, and we appreciate you. We look up to you. You are everything to us, and we're grateful to have you in our lives.
Very grateful. But yeah, like I said, me and Carla are going to switch it up on this podcast from now on. At the end of our podcast, no matter what our topic, what our series is, we're going to spend some time focusing on current events, because it's so hard for us to focus on our topics because sometimes they don't correlate with the current events.
Right.
But honestly, we think that it's essential that we focus on what's going on in the present.
And also, this pertains to Women's History Month, so.
And if y'all haven't been reading the news, I'm gonna need y'all to catch up, because what's going on is crazy, and the discussions we've been having in class have been pissing me off, and I'm just upset, and y'all know I like to vent.
And so, if you're not caught up, we about to catch you up.
We about to catch you up. So here we go. Today we're gonna be talking about the Equality Act. Grab your pencils and notebooks, ladies and gents, because...
And non-binaries and peoples.
Because we are going to do some educating. Carla?
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, the Equality Act, which was first introduced on March 19th of 2019, which was nearly 2 years ago, it wasn't approved. Wasn't approved.
It didn't pass I think it didn't pass the House. Or the Senate.
Something. It didn't pass something. Anyways. But now it just passed Was it the Senate?
The House?
The Senate? I think. No, that's not being educated.
The Senate.
It just passed the Senate.
Yes.
It was the Senate.
I knew it was the Senate.
I knew it was the Senate too. I just looked at you because you looked unsure, and then I got unsure. But it just passed the Senate, and it amends the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibits the discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation, gender identity, in employment, housing, public accommodations, public education, federal funding, credit, and the jury system.
Basically everything you would get if you're an American citizen and pay taxes and all that, blah, 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 blah. But for those of y'all who don't know what the Civil Rights Act of 1964 is, it's basically, it prohibits the discrimination of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. So this Civil Rights Act, like it not abolishes, but it basically protects those people from being discriminated against work environments, promoting and firing in like jobs and stuff. So that's the Civil Rights Act. But we're talking about the Equality Act. We just wanted to let y'all know the history behind it.
The Civil Rights Act is the predecessor. I mean, not the predecessor. Oh, Lord.
The origin. That's my big word of the day, y'all. Origin. Well, I'm really slacking with these big words.
I'm tired. Anyways. So, yeah, the Civil Rights Act came before the Equality Act, and so it's important to know that history behind it so that we know what exactly we're trying to amend.
I hope y'all realize that we have an act to prevent discrimination from race. Just saying.
Because we need one of those.
Because we need one of those.
Because we live in America.
So, just pointing that out, America. We suck.
You know, Tali and I were talking, and I know this is a little a little sidetracked, but we were talking, and of course we're very grateful to be here.
Sure. Yes.
We're very grateful to be here and to have these opportunities and this education that we do. But at the same time, we were kind of joking about it. We were like, dang, out of all countries our parents could have both came to, they came to America. Like my parents decided, let me leave the tropics of the Dominican Republic and go to America.
Canada has free healthcare.
On the East Coast.
I mean, everywhere got racism, but at least Canada, like, it's not that bad over there. But anyways, not the point.
back to the Equality
So
Act.
before we begin, we want to make sure y'all understand the wordings and the definitions of terms, so no one is confused about what the Equality Act is actually giving. So it talked about protecting sexual orientation and gender identity. And sexual orientation is what you identify with in relation to your sexual or physical attraction. So it's who you're attracted to, or that's right? Who you're attracted to? It's who you're attracted to.
Who you're attracted to romantically, physically.
So whether that's like you're bi, gay, asexual, etc., it's who you're attracted to physically. I hope y'all got that.
Okay, and then gender identity is the way that an individual identifies in terms of their gender. So this goes, don't confuse this with sex or
your X and Y chromosomes. That's completely different.
That's completely different.
That's what you're given at birth. That's biology. We're not talking about biology.
That's what you're assigned to at birth. But for a lot of people actually, gender identity doesn't always match up with their biological sex or the gender or the sex that they were assigned to at birth. And so gender identity is pretty fluid. I mean, we both, Tali and I both identify on one side of the spectrum, which is as women, and there are plenty of people who identify on the other side, which is man, but there's a lot in between that. And so there's some people who, there's other genders besides man and women. There's some people who don't identify with either, or the people who identify with both. It's very fluid.
Yeah, there's transgender, gender neutral, agender, pagender. I hope I said that right.
Pangender, you mean?
Pangender. I don't know why I said and didn't read the end. But pangender. Like, I was researching this while we research for this specific topic, and there's so many names, and it's just, guys, there's not two gender identities.
There's so many different genders. There's not so many. I don't even know them all. I don't even know them all. I'm not gonna lie.
No, there's like a list. I was looking at it and I was like, interesting. But yeah, those are the terms. So basically, the House passed the bill. That's what happened a few days ago. By the time this is out, it'll be like a few weeks. Not a few weeks, like a week after the House passed the bill. But they also passed it in 2019, but when it went to this, why did I say 2019 like that? Anyways, child. But in 2019, when it was sent to the Senate, it wasn't approved.
And that's because the Senate at the time was majority
Republicans. So, hopefully we have better chance now. But yeah, so while Carla and I obviously think this act should have been put decades ago, long time ago, we're glad that measures are being taken, and with that comes, this is popping the bubble. So as much as we love to be biased, and y'all know I'm biased, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. What, this episode 12, like, we're biased, but we do like to give you guys the right information. So
wait, I do want to be real quick before we get into it. I want to be clear that the Equality Act is more specific towards providing protections to people who, based off of their gender identity and sexual orientation. Because
if that wasn't clear,
it wasn't specifically stated in the Civil Rights Act. So yeah, this offers more protections for people regarding that. So yeah, just want to clear that up.
So we're gonna give you the against side because I mean, I think it's stupid, but no, I'm just gonna be like, I genuinely think it's the stupidest idea ever. But we also know that you guys are more than capable of doing your own research. You're more than capable of forming your own opinions. But we just wanted to give you some facts.
Yeah. So we're gonna give you the other side's argument before ours.
And mine's is really good. So I promise you.
She does have a good argument.
It's really good. So
what is the other side's argument, Tali?
Okay, y'all. It's basically religion. Let me just sum it up in one word. Because anytime people in the the LGBTQ community are fighting for rights, religion always comes to play. That's literally the only argument anyone can ever use. And it fascinates me because I'm pretty sure there's a separation of church and state. But, I mean, unless I'm getting that wrong, America. Unless I'm getting that wrong.
Talk to him.
But I did learn a little facts in history this week. But there is, we'll go deeper into it. But it's basically like, the argument is if the Equality Act passes, there's a religious, like, Freedom Act, which allows people of religions to, like, do whatever they want in terms of, like, their religion. So I'm putting this in quotes so people don't think I'm, like, I got air quotes coming. But basically it would allow religious people to discriminate against LGBTQ because it serves their religion. Ugh.
Or because so talking about this in terms of workplace discrimination and denying people service, they're allowed to say that they're allowed to deny these people and discriminate against them because it, quote, goes against their religious liberties.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, y'all are gonna be, I'm telling y'all, my argument is so good. It's just, but basically.
Stop saying it's so good and give it to them. Go.
Basically, if we really want to talk about religion, I believe in God. I'm a Christian. So, the religion of, this is just talking about Christianity, because that's usually what's mostly focused on. I can't speak for, like, Jewish or, like, all the other, like, religions, but I can speak for Christianity. And nowhere in the Bible, and I promise y'all this, because I go to church, I go to Sunday school, I've grown up in the church my whole life. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that you're allowed to discriminate against people for who they are. And one of the things you learn, like one of the first things you learn in Sunday school, is one of God's greatest commandment is to love one another. And yeah, I'm pulling out the love one another.
Love thy neighbor.
No, and it literally says, the Bible says love thy neighbor. It doesn't say love thy neighbor who's straight. It doesn't say love thy neighbor who's white. It doesn't say love thy neighbor who's black. It doesn't say love thy neighbor who identifies as a male. It says love thy neighbor. It doesn't say discriminate. You might have your own beliefs, but that doesn't give you the right to discriminate, because that's literally not the teaching of God or Jesus. So this argument just will never sit right with me, because as a religious person, first of all, this is kind of a disgrace to God. in my opinion. Like, no one's discriminating. That's like when white people were using the Bible to agree that slavery was justified. That's literally the same argument, and y'all know that it wasn't justified. Nowhere did it say that it was justified in the Bible. This is that we talk about this a lot in history. It's like strict versus loose, like wording, how you choose to read things. Interpretation. So the religion argument just doesn't sit right, because nowhere in the Bible does it say you're allowed to discriminate against people based on their religion, their sexual orientation, their gender identity. And it's not even like loose or strict. Those are the words. Take them however you want. Those are the words. Nowhere does it say that. So I'm just really heated about this, because it's one thing to say you don't want people to have rights, but it's another thing to bring God into it and be like, God said this. Don't put words in God's mouth.
I want to add too that in the Bible, people say that people claim that the Bible says homosexuality is a sin. The Bible never said that.
The verse they're talking about is a verse that says
it's about pedophilia.
It says don't lie with man, and that can be
it says a man cannot lie with
a boy or a child. Like,
that is referring to pedophilia. That has, and then people change the word as, and mind you, this was originally, I think the Old Testament was originally written in Hebrew. Correct?
Yeah.
Because it came from the Torah, and people were translating it and creating the New Testament and this and that, and so somewhere along the line they changed that word and the meaning to homosexual because it suited them, but never once. That is not the word of God. That, regardless of what you believe, that
and
is
even
not.
If it did, it doesn't say you're discriminating or you lynch black people or you kill transgender women, transgender men. That's literally the opposite of God's teaching. Like, I promise y'all, if y'all actually opened and sat down to read the Bible, it literally just says love one another. You're not, and first of all, you're not the one to judge. You're not. For all my Christian people out there, you're not God. So whatever God compass, God saviorship you got in your head, you need to take it out, because you're not God. You're not.
People forget that.
You're forgetting that. And also, oh man, I could go on for days about this, because sometimes there's such a negative light shed upon religion sometimes, and it frustrates me because it's not everyone. It's not everyone. Some of us aren't, shouting, I hate gays. Like, nobody's doing that stuff. And those people that are doing it, it's because because sadly they have fear and ignorance in their hearts and in their minds, and they use these words and teachings because they feel superior to them, because they belittle people.
You know what? And I'll speak from personal experience. My experience with God and religion has been complicated and long, because for me, growing up, I always thought that being gay was a sin, and here I was figuring out my sexuality, and then one of the biggest things that I faced when I was, coming to terms with that was God hates me, God this, God that, and so I just had a really bad relationship with religion because of these things that were instilled into me and that I was conditioned to believe, when I know now that obviously that's not true, and my family is pretty religious, they're Roman Catholic, and all of them accept me for who I am. But growing up, like, you hear these things because people have weaponized religion, and they've made it so that they can use it as a justification to be bigots and discriminate against people because they want to be the ones in power, the ones who control everything.
I don't know. It's just very frustrating, and especially with the Equality Act. I truly hope that the Senate does the right thing. And I don't know, like, when I read about this at first, I was like, this isn't a thing? Like, this isn't already done? Y'all, I have been so confused for the past few days, because I'm like, I thought this was a thing. I know there's, like, hate crimes, but there's hate crimes, like, all the time. But I thought this was like you can't discriminate against them because they're transgender. Like, I genuinely thought this was a thing. Maybe it's just me, and that shows like I need to be more self-aware and I need to be like educating myself more. But it took me a while because I was like, this isn't a thing. Like,
and there are states who have these protections.
Yeah, there are. But I think there's only 20. It's 27.
Like 28 or 27.
27
like
that have these.
That already have these protections. But this, the Equality Act would make it
all 50.
Would put an amendment in the Constitution, which makes it all 50 states. But what's crazy to me is that me, Carla, could go to the South, which is probably where these states don't have these laws. I could go down. I will. I'm apprehensive about going to the South because I am a gay woman of color. But anyways,
I'm black and I don't want to go to the South. So.
But I could go to the South and I could literally be discriminated against because I'm gay. Like, that's crazy to me because the Constitution does not protect me in that way. And the fact, like, this feels unreal to me, the fact that this can happen to me. Like,
this feels like the time, oh man, this was so early on in 2020. I think it was like when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died.
In September?
Remember? And then something
happened.
That
was in October of 2020.
And then something happened. Oh man. It was with like healthcare. Was it healthcare for the LGBT community? I don't know. Trump said something.
Where he blocked transgender people from the military and other stuff.
Trump did a lot of things,
he did
actually.
He did.
It's really upsetting because me and Carla have been talking about this, and a lot of our conversations in class have pissed me off. Like, I've been angry for the past few days because the way some of y'all in class are talking, like, I truly want to get up from my seat and smack you.
Oh, we're not putting that in, Tali.
No, we are, because are you kidding me? And I'm gonna call y'all out because this is popping the bubble and I don't care. A lot of y'all are white, male, privileged. You don't have a say in these rights. You don't have a say in people's rights because they don't fit your society standard. And I'm pissed. I'm angry. I'm pissed. And this isn't even about me. You don't get to sit in that class. First of all, your opinion is wrong. And I'm going to just start telling people their opinions are wrong when it comes to people's rights and people's freedom and liberty to be who they are. Because it's bothering me. Like I'm truly hurt inside. Like, when you hear those things come from your classmates and your teachers and you're like, are you kidding me? It's frustrating.
I mean, yeah. I think for me, it's like I don't know how many people know that I'm gay. I'm open about it, whatever, but I don't know how many people know because I've been told that I'm straight passing, which, whatever, but like, they can say these things without knowing that it directly affects me. And it doesn't, and they don't need to be, I'm not saying that that's something they need to be aware of, but like, it affects me, like what they say. And their opinions probably have weight in the world, and their ignorance is gonna affect me.
It's just frustrating. I'm just so frustrated beyond, like I can't. Oh, I hate teachers who are like, please respect everybody's opinions. No, I'm not doing that.
Some people are just wrong.
I feel like we as a world just needs to accept that some people are wrong.
So we watched a video in class. And it was Representative Tom McClintock.
Whatever his name is.
He's a Republican, and he was giving his counter argument to the Equality Act. And in it, he spoke of athletes and athletics and how it is unfair to cisgendered women to have to compete with transgender women because it's unfair because they have a physical advantage over them.
First of all, someone's always going to be you in sports. I really don't see how someone who identifies as a woman has anything to do with that. Because at the end of the day, someone's always going to be you. It's the truth. What do you want me to say? Like a child, like I think a kid was like arguing. They were like, oh, I didn't win because blah, 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 blah,
She
blah.
was like, speaking of these two transgender girls, she was like, I didn't win because I was competing against two boys.
So you wake up the next day and you train and you become better. And don't give me that excuse. No, bro. Don't give me that excuse about testosterone and physical ability. Like, I'm not accepting it. I don't care. Do better. Just do better. Or quit and find something else. Because what you're not going to do is you're not going to make people uncomfortable for being who they are. You're not. It's a sport. You will survive. You're probably playing like 5th grade track. You're probably never going to touch the track field ever again. Like, I'm so sick and tired of people's like excuses.
Bruh. No, okay, but another thing that he said was he mentioned being transgender. He referred to it as a choice. First of all, it is not a choice. It is not something that you wake up one day and decide, I'm going to be a girl today. It's not like that. It doesn't work that way. That's something that is always in you, and some people, it takes them longer to figure that out, and some people, they suppress it for the entirety of their lives, and that affects them too. But it's not a choice, and for him to refer to it as a choice just says, and this goes with the whole religion argument, because religion is a choice. You get to decide which religion you want to follow, whether or not you do or don't believe in God, because we live in a world where that's okay for you to decide that.
And even, like, religion, God literally says you have the free will. Do whatever you want. You wanna believe that I exist? Believe it. You don't want to believe that I don't exist? Believe it. Do whatever you want. So y'all can't even bring that decision into, like, oh, it's God's will. God literally says, do whatever you want.
No, but then you have religion, which is a choice, and then you have something as complex and as fluid as gender identity and sexual orientation, and you're saying that that's a choice too, which it's not. And so that, for me, puts it on a whole different level. You can't argue that something that you choose to believe in is being infringed upon by something that somebody doesn't have a choice in. Like, in my opinion, I value religion. I think that people should be able to believe whatever the hell it is they want to believe, and that's okay. That's fine. But when you have this thing that you believe in and you're using it as an argument and to discriminate against somebody for something that they have no choice over, it is literally who they are. It's who they are. They can't change that. And the fact that you're taking this one thing, I don't know if you guys are catching my drift here, but it makes me angry.
It's just, like, what is the need to weaponize everything? For what? What do you gain from discriminating? Please, anybody who's listening and has a valid excuse. I keep telling this to Carla. Of all my 16 years, I've never heard a valid excuse to discriminate. So, I mean, y'all not coming up with anything. So, unless you have a valid excuse as to why we should discriminate, as to why it's okay to belittle someone for being alive, for being what they do that has no impact on you at all.
None at all.
No impact on you at all. Please shut up.
Like, you have a right. Everybody has a right to believe whatever they want to believe. That's fine. If you want to be homophobic or whatever, that's fine. Just the moment that your homophobia has an impact in my life and affects the way that I'm living my life, then that's a problem for me.
Please keep it to your
house. How this is my question. How does seeing a gay couple or a transgender person hurt you? How is that hurting you?
If you don't want to see it, go inside.
Like, no, literally, how does that hurt somebody in the workplace by being surrounded by somebody who doesn't comply to their idea of what gender and sexuality should be? How is that hurting you? I don't understand. But then they don't understand that what they're doing is hurting these people. Like, I'm getting heated and I can't form coherent sentences because of how angry I'm getting. So I don't know if any of what I'm saying is making sense right now because I'm so angry, but like,
it makes sense. It's just, it's very frustrating, and we just really hope you guys, like, if you're gonna have arguments, if you're gonna support them, you can't be selfish in this world. You truly can't. And everything we do affects everyone. And I hate to say it, but the world is not perfect. So can we at least try to make it, like, accessible?
A little better.
A little better? Can we at least, like, even if you don't care, can you at least pretend you care? Like, I don't know how else to put this. I'm truly just tired of listening to people excuses. Like, it's annoying. And I'm fed up. And I want to snap at people. And I genuinely do not, like, I'm genuinely not that type of person to, like, slap someone. I know I say it a lot, but I would never slap anyone. I've never slapped anyone. But that's, like, it's frustrating. So, you know, with this Equality Act, I truly hope it passes the Senate. And I truly hope that, you know, we'll never be a perfect American society because America can't even tell themselves the truth. Fuck. America can't even tell themselves about the truth about what, I'm not gonna say we because I'm not American, what they really are and what they've really done. So just be better. There's just no need for all the hate and negativity. Like, you really woke up and decided to choose violence. Okay. Like, you really woke up and decided to choose violence. Okay, America.
Like, I just don't understand. Like, I genuinely don't. And maybe this is just me because I live my specific life and I have my own identity and that it's hard for me to see it any other way. But I don't understand how my being gay, my loving another woman will hurt another person. I don't understand, like what am I doing that's so wrong, like, that is causing you, like, I really don't understand. And it's completely absurd to me, and I don't know why human beings are this way. I wish they weren't, but hey, it's the world we live in, and that's what we have to deal with. And so this Equality Act needs to pass and needs to amend the Civil Rights Act, because I don't know if I can, like, do this. I'll go crazy.
And throw everybody in jail who disagrees with the laws. Or not disagrees. But when it's brought in court, I just want life sentence. I don't care. Do what you gotta do.
Ooh, let's not.
What? So you can go out and discriminate again?
I have my own reservations about the prison system.
I mean, yeah, the prison system sucks, but if you deserve to be there, then you should be there. By all accounts.
True. I mean, I don't know. I just, please just go out and educate yourself about this.
Yeah.
Because there are things that are happening in the world around us that not enough people are paying attention to, and it affects the people around you. And if you don't know somebody who's gay and this affects, well, now you do.
You lying.
Here I am.
Here you are.
Here I am.
Carla.
I am here for you, and if you needed somebody's personal account to convince you or to change your perspective or to open your eyes to something, here I am.
Not even, just to be a decent human being.
Like, I just... And if you're homophobic, get out of here. Thank you.
We don't support that here in Popping the Bubble.
If you're transphobic, if you're any phobic...
If you're racist, I mean, we hope you listen and you learn something and you open your eyes. But don't come in our comments, because we will come reckless. I got Twitter fingers. I'm serious. I got Instagram fingers. I'm ready.
If somebody starts beef with us, we'll take it to Black Twitter.
Not even. We'll take it to my Twitter. First of all. But on a serious note, y'all, please do your research. We can't stress this enough. We are just two girls who do research and then bring it to y'all. But then again, we're biased. So
facts. This is our own opinions.
Y'all realize
formed by our own biases.
Y'all realize we just talked about the other side for like 2 minutes and then like pounded on them. So I don't think y'all got that much information. But form your own biases, form your own opinions. But please form the right opinions.
Don't be a bigot.
Right.
That should be the catchphrase. Don't be a bigot.
But yeah, happy Women's History Month. Even though Black women weren't included for years and years. It still aren't included for years. Thought I add that. But happy Women's History Month. Tell a woman you appreciate them. We're back to our regular schedule. I'm Tolly.
I'm Carla.
And that's on Poppin' the Bubble.